Some people think peace is a luxury, but in truth, it's a decision. And almost always, a quiet one. You don't need to shout to the world that you've changed, much less ask for permission to protect your peace. What you really need is to identify what's draining your energy from the inside, and cut it off at the root. Many of the habits that destroy your peace don't seem wrong at first. They're common behaviors, socially accepted, sometimes even praised. But behind them lies a hidden cost, your sanity. And this is where Stoicism comes in, not as a philosophy from a book, but as a tool for emotional survival. In this video, you'll discover what's silently draining your mind, and most importantly, how to let it go with courage, clarity, and no need to make an announcement. Because real power doesn't make noise, it transforms quietly. If you've been feeling exhausted, reactive, stuck in cycles that no longer make sense, maybe it's not a lack of time, it's an excess of noise. And some of that noise is disguised as good intentions, politeness, or even respect, but in reality, they're just chains in disguise. So take a deep breath and come with me. Each habit you cut from now on is one step closer to a peaceful, free, and mentally protected life. Let's do this together, with strategy, with intelligence, and with a generous dose of silence. Sometimes, the best response is silence. Over-explaining is like handing the steering wheel of your life to someone who only wants to question your direction. And the truth is, when you're constantly trying to justify every move, you end up too tired to keep going. Maturity teaches you that not everyone deserves to understand your reasons. The root of this behavior is often an addiction to acceptance. We fear judgment so much that we try to explain ourselves before anyone even questions us. But that's not connection, it's fear in disguise. And fear has never been a good compass for someone seeking peace of mind. This is where strategic silence becomes a turning point. When you stop explaining everything, you start being more selective about who actually matters. That's not arrogance, it's emotional intelligence. Mature people don't waste energy trying to convince those who have already decided not to listen. And here's more, when you explain too much, you give others room to twist your narrative. Ever noticed how, the more you try to clarify something, the more confusing it becomes? Exactly. Too much explanation becomes ammunition for those lacking empathy. Want a practical exercise? Next time someone pressures you for answers, take a breath and say, I did what I thought was best. Short, clear, no drama. Those who respect you will understand. Those who don't, maybe they never will. And that's okay. Your peace is worth more than forced approval. Letting go of this habit is like taking off an invisible weight. Not justifying yourself doesn't mean you don't care, it means you're preserving your energy for what really matters. And the good news? Every time you choose wisdom over noise, your self-esteem grows, quietly. Some people tune the channel of their lives to all the wrong frequencies: gossip, conflict, passive-aggressive posts, toxic rants. And the worst part? They think that's staying informed. The truth is, consuming other people's drama is like sipping emotional poison drop by drop, and expecting to live in peace. The first step to cutting this habit is realizing how much it affects your focus and clarity. You wake up fine, but 5 minutes on toxic social media and you're irritated, anxious, or feeling like you need to fix problems that aren't even yours. That's not empathy, it's disguised self-abandonment. Want peace? Start filtering what enters through your eyes and ears. Cutting access to other people's chaos isn't cold, it's self-protection. And self-protection is one of the most mature forms of self-love. If you don't do it for yourself, no one will. Practical tip: review who you follow, who gets your attention, and what you consume during the day. With every profile, news story, or conversation, ask yourself, does this bring me closer to peace or pull me into the storm? The answer might surprise you. What seems harmless may be what drains you the most. Cutting drama from your life is an act of courage. Not everyone will understand your distance. And that's okay. Those who thrive on chaos are disturbed by those who choose silence. And when you stop reacting to other people's noise, you finally start to hear your own soul. Here's the bonus: once your mind is protected, you gain clarity to focus on what truly matters: your goals, your health, your growth. What you remove on the outside creates space on the inside. And the peace you're searching for? It's right there, in the clean space left behind by the drama. Reacting in the heat of the moment is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. The flames grow, the damage spreads, and in the end, you're left with regret. The truth is, impulsiveness is rarely a good advisor. It answers the wounded ego, not a matured mind. Stoicism teaches us that between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies our freedom. When you learn to control that pause, you begin to respond with wisdom, not with anger, fear, or pride. That changes everything, from a workplace conflict to a conversation at home. Want to train this? Before replying to any provocation, take a deep breath. 3 seconds. That tiny pause can prevent a disaster. If needed, remove yourself from the situation, go to the restroom, drink some water. Walking away isn't weakness, it's emotional intelligence. Think of how many arguments you've had that could have been avoided with a simple pause. How many words, said without filter, opened wounds that took years to heal. Mastering your emotions is like carrying an invisible shield. You still feel, but now, you're no longer a hostage to those feelings. A simple Stoic example: Epictetus said we can't control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. When someone disrespects you, the choice is yours: strike back or keep your dignity. The second path is harder, but far more powerful. And the more you practice self-control, the more you realize that true strength lies in not reacting to everything. Peace doesn't come from avoiding conflict, it comes from choosing which battles are worth your energy. And guess what? Most of them aren't. Some people don't live in the past anymore, but they still pay emotional rent there. They keep reliving old pain as if the wound needs to be reopened daily just to remind them it's there. But the truth is, self-compassion isn't about reliving, it's about releasing. And that takes courage. When you revisit your past with pity, you sabotage yourself in silence. You feed guilt, fuel resentment, and weaken your self-esteem. It's like trying to move forward while staring only in the rearview mirror. No wonder life feels stuck. The weight is invisible, but the impact is real. Overcoming the past doesn't mean forgetting, it means reframing. It's about looking at what hurt and saying, "That taught me something." It's not denying the pain, it's learning from it. Guilt is only useful if it builds a bridge, not a prison. And each time you let go, you gain more space to live the present with lightness. Want a practical tip? Take a piece of paper and write down everything still tying you to the past: situations, people, regrets. Then read it out loud and say, "This happened, but it doesn't define me." Tear the paper. Simple, symbolic, powerful. Sometimes, that little ritual is all your soul needs to be freed. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The life of each person is what their thoughts make of it." If you're stuck in what was, you'll never see what could be. And the present? It sits there, unnoticed, like a gift no one opens. It's time to open it. When you let go of the past, you breathe deeper. Your chest feels lighter. Your mind becomes clearer. The pain doesn't vanish overnight, but it loses strength with every step. And then you understand, Stoicism isn't about being cold, it's about being free. And freeing yourself from self-pity is the first step to truly loving who you are. Have you ever felt disappointed when someone didn't return a gesture that, to you, was obvious? You helped wholeheartedly, and got silence. You cared, and got ignored. Welcome to the club of those who expect too much from others. But here's the truth, no one is obligated to react the way you would. Creating unrealistic expectations is like giving a gift and demanding the exact reaction you imagined. You don't get hurt by what people do, you get hurt by what you expected them to do. That creates a cycle of frustration that drains your peace and damages your self-esteem. And the cruelest part, you often don't even realize it. Emotional detachment begins when you understand that people act according to their own stories, not yours. Your generosity doesn't obligate anyone to be grateful. Your empathy doesn't guarantee reciprocity. And that's okay. Because the value of what you do isn't measured by someone else's reaction. Want an exercise? Next time you do something for someone, ask yourself, if this person doesn't respond the way I hope, was it still worth it? If the answer is no, maybe your motive wasn't as pure as it seemed. It's hard to admit, but it heals. Stoic awareness teaches you to act from conviction, not from a desire for return. You plant because it's in your nature to plant, not because you expect applause at harvest time. And that mindset takes a huge weight off your shoulders. You start living lighter, free from silent demands. Understanding others is a powerful act of emotional intelligence. Knowing that not everyone shares your sensitivity, your timing, or your maturity frees you from expectation and protects you from resentment. And in the end, you realize, what really hurt you wasn't the other person, it was your expectation of them. Some people don't argue to understand, they argue to win. And in that ego game, even the winner ends up losing time, energy, and often valuable relationships. The obsession with being right is a trap disguised as superiority. And the way out of that trap? Silence. You know that urge to say, I told you so. It's human, but rarely helpful. When the need to be right becomes your priority, you move away from stoic balance. The wise choose peace. The proud choose the last word. And in the end, there's neither real dialogue nor respect left. Avoiding useless arguments isn't cowardice, it's discernment. Not every conversation deserves your opinion. Not every mistake needs your correction. Sometimes, wisdom is letting others learn on their own path. You're not a teacher of someone else's life, and that's perfectly fine. Want to practice this? Next time you feel like correcting someone, pause. Ask yourself, will this actually improve anything, or is it just feeding my ego? If the answer is ego, choose silence. You'll see how much lighter that feels, something no argument can give you. Stoic wisdom teaches that silence can be more eloquent than winning an argument. Because someone at peace doesn't need to prove anything. The ego's victory is loud and empty. The spirit's victory is silent, but firm, grounded, unshakable. At the end of the day, overcoming your ego means overcoming yourself. It means realizing that not every battle deserves a warrior. And that proving something to someone is never worth more than your inner peace. When you truly understand that, you stop collecting victories, and start living in freedom. If you wait for motivation to show up before you start, you'll spend half your life waiting. Motivation is inconsistent, emotional, fleeting. One day it hugs you, the next it vanishes. Discipline, though. It doesn't care about your mood. It only responds to your decision. The idea that we should only act when we feel inspired is beautiful, but unrealistic. Great achievements don't come from excitement, they come from consistency. Do you think Marcus Aurelius felt like showing up every day? Of course not. But he did what needed to be done. That's power. Action without emotion is one of the greatest signs of maturity. Getting out of bed even without motivation. Studying even when it's boring. Working out even when you're not in the mood. That's not coldness, it's focus. Those who only act when they feel like it will always be at the mercy of their emotions. Want a practical tip? Create a micro-commitment. Something small, but non-negotiable. 10 minutes of reading. 5 push-ups. 1 written page. Habits shape the mind. And the more you act, the more your brain learns that it doesn't need motivation to begin. Stoic discipline is about doing what's right, even when it's hard. Even when no one sees. Even when the results are invisible for days. It builds a quiet strength, from the inside out. And one day, the world notices, but you already knew. Little by little, acting without waiting becomes natural. And before you know it, you're achieving results most people never reach. Not because you got lucky, but because you stayed consistent. And consistency is the bridge between what you dream and what you achieve. Nothing sabotages self-esteem more than constantly measuring yourself with someone else's ruler. You start your day feeling good, but then you see someone better on social media, and suddenly, you feel small. Constant comparison is a subtle form of self-abandonment. The problem is, we're always comparing our behind-the-scenes to someone else's highlight reel. We see the success, but not the struggle. We see the body, but not the trauma. And then we punish ourselves for not being in the same place, forgetting that we're on completely different journeys. Stoic self-esteem doesn't come from external validation. It comes from personal progress, comparing yourself not to others, but to who you were yesterday. The only healthy competition you have is with your past self. And beating that version of you, that's evolution. Want to apply this in your daily life? Start recording your small wins. A habit maintained. A boundary set. A tough decision made with courage. This helps you see your own growth, and reminds you that you are moving forward, even if slowly. Disconnect more often from what disconnects you from yourself. If something on social media makes you feel inferior, mute it. If someone constantly makes you doubt your worth, step away. Comparison is a subtle poison, and you have to learn not to drink it. The more you value yourself, the less space there is for envy or inferiority. And that's where freedom begins, when you no longer need to be like anyone else, only fully yourself. And that, my friend, is already something big. Some people can't take a single step without announcing it to the world. And then, before the plan even takes shape, it's already become public expectation. Talking too much about what's still being born is like exposing a seed to the wind, it won't survive. Growth needs silence. The Stoic secret is to protect what's still in gestation. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. What's new needs time, solid ground, and discretion. When you share too soon, you open space for judgment, envy, and worst of all, self-sabotage. Want some advice? Next time you feel excited about a new idea, keep it to yourself. Develop it in silence. Build behind the scenes. Only speak when it becomes impossible to hide. Because when your actions speak louder than your intentions, no one can stop you. Productive silence is a strategy of protection. It blocks out external noise and helps you maintain focus without distraction. With each quiet step, your structure gets stronger. And the result? It surprises others, but not you. You knew how much you fought for it. Focus without distraction requires discipline. It's not easy to resist the urge to share. But the more you practice self-control, the more you realize that peace lives in privacy. The world doesn't need to know what you're doing. It just needs to see what you've already done. Here's the final key. Reveal actions, not intentions. Show results, not promises. Let your fruits speak for you. While many waste time announcing, the wise are already harvesting. And a quiet harvest, my friend, is always the sweetest. So now tell me, how many of these habits are still there, hiding in your routine, silently draining your peace? Maybe you never realized how much they were affecting you. But now that you do, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Knowing doesn't change things. Action does. The good news? None of these changes require noise. They just need decision, consistency, and the courage to choose yourself, every single day. Silence becomes your ally. And where there once was noise, clarity begins to grow. So the question is, are you going to keep justifying, reacting, comparing, and self-sabotaging? Or will you use this content as a turning point? It's not an exaggeration, cutting these 9 habits could change your whole life, from the inside out. If something here struck a chord with you, it's because there's already a shift happening within. And if it makes sense, start now. One cut at a time. One silence at a time. One choice at a time. The peace you're looking for is waiting, right behind what you need to let go of. If this video helped you in any way, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and leave a like. That supports the content and helps me keep creating messages like this for you. And if you want to go one step further, share this with someone who also needs to cut the excess and rediscover their peace. Thanks for watching until the end. Remember, Stoicism isn't about becoming hard, it's about waking up. Cutting out what consumes you isn't coldness, it's practical wisdom. And every time you choose strategic silence over emotional noise, you get closer to your best self. Keep going with us on this journey. Already subscribed to the channel? If not, do it now and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming. There's a lot of valuable content ahead, practical lessons, deep reflections, and real tools to transform your mind and your life. And if this video made sense to you, leave a like, comment below what resonated the most, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Sometimes, the right word at the right time changes everything. See you in the next video. Until then, protect your focus, guard your peace, and never underestimate the power of a quiet cut.